All right, welcome everybody. This is the anti-goal setting equation to actually get what you want. And first, I just want to, I feel like I need to set some expectations and apologize for two things. Number one, I'm not an entertainer. I'm not funny, and that's not the point of this training. Um, I can be funny on a good day. Just haven't had a good day yet. All right, there's my humor. And number two is it's a little bit hard to draw and write with a mouse, so it might get a little bit messy. But what I can promise is that if you put the rest of your life on pause and really focus in for a minute, the things we'll talk about can help you change that life that you just put on pause. I've seen this work after years of struggling to achieve goals, feeling stuck for a long time. This has helped me get unstuck and a lot of people that I work with. I've shared it with clients and friends, and um, it does actually work. I've helped people double, triple, quadruple their income, uh, get their dream job, lose weight. Um, so yeah, just some big goals that people generally have a hard time achieving. And this is based in the idea, or what sparked this is that people who have a hard time achieving goals probably shouldn't set goals, right? Like that might be the reason you're not achieving your goals. And here's why: because people who identify or have evidence or historically haven't hit their goals, the second you label it as a goal or frame it as a goal, that implies subtly, subconsciously, that you're not going to hit that goal. Right? There's two options. You can either have it or achieve it, right? That's one option. Or the other option is you cannot achieve it. And what you want is a single option, a single outcome. And instead of setting a goal, there's a couple ways to do this, but here's the equation that will change everything that you've ever learned about achievement or setting goals, and actually having the things that you want into your life. So instead of a goal, we're going to make a decision. Okay. And what's the difference? Well, a decision is not a goal because there's only one outcome. When you make a decision, that's the decision, right? That's the definition of decision is the path, the outcome, right? So let's say someone is walking here and there's three roads, right? Three paths you can take. Well, until he decides, there's multiple options, right? As long as something is a goal, there's at least two options: to hit it or not to hit it. And so the process of deciding is actually committing, right? It's fully committing. And what you'll notice is until you commit, there is hesitancy, there's anxiety, there is analysis paralysis. There's wondering, can I really do this? Right? There's doubt. And so the first step in this equation is to decide, right? It's not a goal, it's a decision at this point. Okay. So going back, the process of deciding, right, is basically choosing one path and eliminating the other paths. Okay. The second part of the goal, or not the goal, the equation, sorry. The second part here, um, so it's decision plus alignment. That's the second step, equals decision fruition, right? Decision fruition, there's probably a better way to say this, honestly, but it just means that that decision will come to fruition. It will come to pass. It will happen. You will achieve or reach what you decided on. So let's talk about alignment for just a second. What does alignment mean? Well, there's let's talk about what alignment isn't for a second, right? Alignment or not being in alignment is any form of internal friction. Um, some people might call it resistance. Okay. And if you think about it, this is the mechanism that kept you from achieving your goals in the past, right? It's that doubt, fear, um, limiting beliefs, um, right? Whatever happened inside of you that made it hard to move towards that goal, right? Or that made you doubt the goal, or um, that eventually caused you to not attain or reach that goal, right? So resistance, limiting beliefs. We'll talk about something called secondary gain. Secondary gain, which is just the idea of like, what are you getting from not getting the goal, right? Um, which ties into your value hierarchy. Okay. But if you can, so again, all these things here. Um, sorry, I'm going to add a couple more. Resentment. Okay. Resentments can keep you from hitting your goals. And there's some other things, but um, again, these things that we just listed, these are not alignment. These things cause you to be out of alignment. And so when I say alignment, it's essentially a state of being, an identity, belief systems, all of these things in alignment with the outcome of that decision, right? So you make the decision, you become in alignment with that thing, and then you get the outcome. And notice how this is very different from what most people teach about setting goals, right? It's not like decide on the outcome, reverse engineer it, and pick the best strategy, the most efficient strategy. And I'm not saying those things can't be helpful. What I'm saying is that isn't like how you actually do it, right? There's more than one path to get somewhere, and the path isn't even important if you don't decide on the path and continue to walk on the path. Does this make sense? And so I want to share how to, at least high level version of how to become in alignment and why you're not in alignment currently, and why setting and achieving goals has been hard for you in the past. Um, so let's come right over here. So you've probably heard things like, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right. Right? That's kind of a famous quote. And so again, that's probably the main number one factor, right? These limiting beliefs of why, when you set a goal or when you have set goals previously, the frame of setting it as a goal implies disbelief if you're someone that hasn't hit goals. So you're starting defeated. You're very out of alignment with that goal. You're just going through the motions of setting that goal, even if you really, really want it. I'm not saying you don't want it, and I'm not even saying that maybe you didn't try really hard to get there. But here's what happens inside. Okay, let's just set the rules here for a second. How it works is your external reality. So what's going on all around you is a reflection, right, of what's going on inside of you, inside your mind, inside your heart, just inside of you. It's a reflection, it's a mirror. And so what's going on psychologically inside of us is this process. And this isn't something I came up with. This is just psychology, human behavior. And this will resonate with people, and you'll probably have an aha moment of, oh, this makes so much sense. No wonder. You'll have that, or and or you'll have the process of, why did nobody tell me this earlier? That was my experience. Okay, but what we understand is that um, the reason we do things, the things we do, and the reason that we get the things that we get or don't get the things that we don't get, is that our beliefs act like a filter. Okay. So, and when I say beliefs, I'm talking about what we actually believe to be true. I'm talking about like at our very center, at our very core. Some people call it programming, but what you believe to be facts. Now, important note here, I'm not talking about what is factual. I'm saying what you believe to be fact. And again, just to set the stage here, they've actually done studies and proven that we only notice about 12% of what's going on around us. Some studies say it's much, much less, but a lot of them say it's about 12%. And we actually delete and distort the other, what is that, 88%. We delete and distort it, even if it's there, even if it's really there, we delete and distort it, and we only notice what supports what we believe, right? And so that's what makes this filter. So these little dots here, these are external experiences. They're stimulus. Okay, all of our experiences, what we see, touch, feel, taste, hear, they all of our senses, right, interpret this stimulus, what's going on around us, and it puts it through this filter of our belief systems, and out the other side comes a thought, right, an interpretation of what is happening based on what we believe. And this is like what determines what we think about all the time, is we're interpreting things put through the filter of our belief. And before I get too much into thoughts, staying here with beliefs for a minute. So belief is something you believe to be true, but also it may or may not be true. And what a belief actually is just a meaning that you've attached to an experience based on the evidence you noticed at the time. And what's crazy is most of our core beliefs, like what we our most solid foundational beliefs, are installed or we pick up or we acquire as children, um, about the age of 7 to 8, like before that, up until that age. Okay. And so this happens, the process of establishing our beliefs or taking on our beliefs happens at a subconscious level or an unconscious level, right? If you think back, like at 7 or 8 years old or younger, you're not sitting there going through like, oh, here's what I experienced, but maybe there's a different meaning I could give to this, or maybe there was evidence I wasn't noticing, right? Like that's not how it works. Our beliefs are installed at a subconscious level. We're not choosing our beliefs, right? And what's really crazy is not crazy, but just how it works. It's a little bit crazy. Is those belief systems literally affect every part of our life? Like they dictate the rest of our life. And I'll show you this cycle. The way that's true, and some beliefs serve us, are very helpful, keep us safe, help us in a lot of ways. Other beliefs are really unhelpful. They keep us stuck. They keep us limited. They keep us in the same patterns and loops. They keep us avoiding what we actually want, or that we say we want in our life, all because of what we believe. But those belief systems, they help us interpret our experience, and that spits out thoughts, right? So that's why two people can have a seemingly same experience, but give it totally different meanings or have totally different belief systems. And both those people believe that they're fully right, and the other person's wrong. And they're just not noticing what the other person is noticing. Okay. So that might be an important rule or just thing to consider the next time you're interacting or having a disagreement or argument with someone. Um, okay, so gets put through the filter of our beliefs. Outcomes are thoughts, what we think about based on those beliefs. And what's really cool is those thoughts lead to our emotions, right? They cause us to feel a certain way. And those emotions will dictate our actions, right? Or inactions. And those actions will bring an outcome or a result. And that outcome or result will actually reaffirm the belief that we started with. Okay. So our beliefs become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Again, think about it. This is the mechanism. This is what's going on behind the scenes, the psychology of that quote. Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. Because if you believe you can, you're going to have thoughts and ideas, inspiration on how you can. And if you believe you can do something, that's going to cause feelings of excitement, of love, of joy, of peace, of bravery, right? All of the really good emotions. Okay, I'm going to call those powerful emotions for a second. And then it's easy to take action from a powerful state of being, emotional state, right? If you believe something will work, then you're going to go do it. If you're excited for something to work, it's easy to go and take action on what you're excited about. And then that will bring a good result, right? An outcome that is desirable. And it's not always the first outcome, right? You might get some feedback. You might get a little bit of feedback in the meantime. So, but if you believe truly that you can do it, you're going to interpret that as, oh, this is just feedback. It's not failure, right? And eventually you'll find a way to get the outcome that will reaffirm the belief. You'll keep trying till you get that outcome because you believe it to be true. It has to happen that way. On the flip side, on the opposite end, if you believe you can't do something, then you're going to have thoughts and ideas and excuses around why you can't do it. You're going to notice all of the evidence that's out there around why you can't do it, why it's impossible, why it won't work for you, why other people can do it, but you can't do it, right? You'll create these stories and narratives, your thoughts in your head around why you can't do it. And when you're having those types of thoughts, those lead to different kinds of emotions. And it puts you in what I call a weak state, right? So it's just the opposite of a powerful state. Powerful state is positive emotions, a weak state is negative emotions. And so when you're feeling things like fear, anxiety, apathy, frustration, doubt, right? All of these emotions, then it's really hard to take action from that place, right? As you try to move towards action, it probably will turn into inaction. Or you'll just kind of go through the motions without real intention and you won't perform the best you can. And you'll actually end up creating a situation where that outcome reaffirms the belief. It will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Same way that a positive belief becomes a positive result and reaffirms that, it's the same thing. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even if you have a strategy, again, think about this. This is exactly why um, all of those other goal setting methods don't actually work. They're missing an important step here. Okay. It's because even if you have a strategy, if you don't stick to the strategy, you'll find or maybe you just don't do the strategy correctly, you'll find a way to mess it up, right? You'll stop doing it, you'll self-sabotage, you'll find excuses, you'll have doubts, you'll create situations consciously and subconsciously, most times subconsciously, that keep you from getting your desired outcome or your goal. And I want to make it just a really quick clarification here. Um, when I'm talking about a state of being, right, these emotional states right here, I'm not, these don't mean good and bad, right? No, this is my belief. I believe we should feel our emotions. This is simply recognizing that we don't have to stay in the same place, right? That some emotional states make it easy and some emotional states make it hard to get what we want. Okay. And there's actually a way to get out of those states. Um, and that's what I help people do all the time is make this process feel easy to take actions, get the results that you want. Um, but yeah, I just the reason I bring that up is I don't want you to think, oh, if I'm feeling fear, anxiety, there's something wrong with me. That's not it at all. There's a reason you're valid to feel that way. You're always valid to feel that way. You always should feel the way you're feeling. However, and you can decide to feel a different way and get out of that state and become in a state that makes it easy and is aligned with the outcomes and goals or vision, desires, decisions that you have for your life. Okay. So I hope you understand the mechanisms of why some people get what they want, why some people achieve their goals and some don't. And some of you are in the back are saying, yeah, well, you can just have discipline, right? Here's what discipline is. Discipline is trying to override the emotions, right? That's how people describe discipline is like, well, just do it whether you feel like it or not. But here's the thing, people that have discipline actually don't have discipline. Here's the difference. At a subconscious level, they actually do believe that they can have the result that they want. And so, because of that, they actually believe that they make a shift, okay, or they have the ability to, or the wiring for the ability to change their beliefs, and that changes, right? They change their belief, that changes the thought, which changes the emotion. And so, think about it, when someone has discipline, the second they are like, oh, I have discipline, they get this little burst of energy, right? Their energy shifts, their emotions shift enough for them to take the action, right? And a lot of that comes from the ability, right? If we say thoughts are equal to focus, right? Just what we're focusing on in that moment, they have the ability to choose a different thought or a different focus. And that allows them, right? Maybe they're thinking about the outcome more than the action it takes to get there. And that allows them to move from a weak state into a powerful state, at least enough to go and take the action. Where other people, they don't have that ability, right? For some, it's not that they don't have the ability, but they're not trained that way. Their brain doesn't work that way. They don't have the neural networks, the neural pathways, just the patterns of thinking, the way their brain talks to each other. They don't have those established enough to rely on. It's not their default, right? Um, and so somewhere in these years of, 0 to 8 or 9 years old, 7 to 8 years old, as a child, people that hit their goals had some experience where they gave it the meaning that, hey, even if I um, have fear or anxiety or whatever, they have the belief I can choose to get out of that. They actually believe that they can go and take action where other people don't have that belief. And that's hard for people with the belief to understand the people that don't have the belief. And it's also hard for the people that don't have that belief or that programming to understand the people that do. There's a big disconnect. And it's not that there's anything wrong with one or the other. It's just simply those experiences and the meanings, the beliefs from those experiences at a young age never taught you or never created the neural networks um, to help you get unstuck or to train your brain to look for ways to find um, evidence for or to shift that belief to then take action, right? Feel good enough to go and take the action. And sometimes if you have like um, someone to inspire you, they can externally change your state and hold you accountable long enough where you take an action regardless of how you feel. Like even that, the reason is there's an external source helping you get out of that state, giving you enough belief that you don't have on your own to take the action. And then that action over time actually does change the belief into something. And then that's what people call discipline, right? The process of establishing discipline. But there has to be something that shifts your belief for discipline to be established, for you to take that action. Not everyone has that mechanism internally. They need an external thing unless they understand this part, unless they understand how it works and how to change their beliefs so that they actually believe a new belief, which is a little bit challenging sometimes for a lot of people because a belief is something that by definition you believe to be true. All right, I just went really fast. I hope that makes sense for you. Um, and if you want to go deeper on this stuff, I'd love to help you. There should be some button somewhere that you see on the screen where you can actually book a call with me, and I'll actually walk you through and help you identify, hey, what are the beliefs or what are the mechanisms of internal friction or resistance? What are your limiting beliefs? What are these things that cause you to feel like you can't get what you want? Well, you can't take action, why it's so hard for you to believe that you can hit your goals or move towards them. Because here's what's cool, and this might be hard to conceptualize, right? Because right now, all you know is that you don't want to do these action items, or that you can't do them, or that it's scary to do them. That's what you believe right now to be true, and so that's your experience. So it's hard to even conceptualize what it would be like on the other end. Like if we removed all of this resistance, all of these limiting beliefs, you would actually feel differently naturally. You would have different emotions, different thought patterns, different ideas, inspiration, which would make it easy to then take the action, right? Think about something that is easy for you right now, right? Something that is natural and easy. You totally believe you can do it. There's zero resistance to do it. Well, what if the things that don't feel that way right now, all of those things that are those actions that you know would bring the result that you want, what if those things could feel that way? And I know that's such a new concept for a lot of people that some red flags go up, right? It doesn't feel safe to believe that because that hasn't been your experience yet. You see, is this making sense? But there's a reason that that isn't your experience yet. And there's a reason that other people have a different experience than you. And it's because they're interpreting experiences differently. They have different belief systems, which lead to different thoughts, different emotions, different actions, and different outcomes. Okay. We all have different programming running. We have different filters that's filtering out our experiences. But I want you to imagine just for a second moving towards your goals in a way that felt light and easy and fun. Like, what if it was fun? What if it was easy? What if there wasn't fear or anxiety or resistance or doubt, right, towards those things that right now cause all of those negative or weak emotions? What if it wasn't there? Do you think you'd have an easier time getting what you want, achieving your goals? This is the process of becoming unstuck. This is a process of becoming free. This is a process of um, instead of self-sabotage or finding ways to subconsciously stay safe to avoid those negative emotions so that you don't have to face the actions. Um, sorry, I just got a call on my phone and it's connected to my computer. Um, let me just put it on silence for a second. Um, right, if those things could feel differently, um, well, then you'd have an easier time, right? Get it? Sorry, I was interrupted there, but well, and part of what this could do too, this brings me to another point. Um, one thing I help my clients understand is what's called a pattern interrupt, right? So it just something that changes the patterns of thinking right here, to help you focus on something different. And that's kind of a band-aid. It's a framework that is useful that you can use on the fly just to help you. But the real change and transformation happens at a belief subconscious level, um, which require interfacing with your subconscious that I help people do and change, and it works. So again, if you want some help identifying, hey, what's the resistance? What's the internal friction? Those limiting beliefs or those other forms of resistance, what are they for you specifically? And then how to remove them, right? Not fight against them, because that's what's hard. That's what requires discipline, is when you're fighting against them. But if you can remove them, right? It's like trying, look at this. Let's say there's a big rock you're trying to push up the hill. Your goal is to get to the top of the hill. This is where your prize is, your treasure, right? X marks the spot. That's your goal, or your desire. Well, if you try to push against this rock, that's what causes it to be hard, right? And a lot of people like can throw stuff externally at you, like motivation, um, some things that can help you, right? Muster up some strength, change your state momentarily, to give you strength to push this up, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what if we just took the rock away, right? I'm talking about what if we took that away so that there wasn't something causing that resistance that you're fighting against, and you just had a free path to get what you want. Wouldn't you prefer that? I would. And here's what I know a lot of you are thinking right now is, well, if it's not hard, it's not worth anything. Says who? Who told you that? Or a lot of people believe, well, that's part of the process of becoming strong, right? Is the resistant. It's like, yeah, it can be, but what you're doing as you're building strength, the old way, what you're doing is, um, you're actually just changing your beliefs the hard way. You're mustering up enough courage momentarily to that eventually changes the belief anyways. You're just adding extra steps. And not everyone is wired to maintain that level of extra steps or that extra discipline or strength or, um, drive. Not everyone is programmed to keep that up long enough for the belief to change, and that's why they fail. I heard this quote. It's perfect. It says people will never consistently act in a way that's inconsistent with their programming, with their beliefs. Right? You can have moments of discipline, moments of courage. Anyone can muster that up for a little while, but not everyone has the ability or the programming to sustain that. And so if you want sustained growth, right, to get unstuck permanently, you have to change the programming, the belief. You have to shift those. And everything else follows naturally. Right? That's what makes it feel natural. Okay. So I hope you took a few things away from this. Number one, there's nothing wrong with you. And number two, when people talk about achieving things effortlessly, think of it the same way as you achieve something that is effortless to you right now. Like that can be your experience with a different destination or intention or goal or desire. But you have to have programming that's in alignment with that decision or goal or outcome. Okay. There's lots more we can get into. Um, Again, this is just the surface, but if you want some help removing that resistance, let me know. Book a call with me. I can help you map that out. And I hope this was beneficial and helpful for you. Happy New Year. And I'm excited for all of you to hit your goals, actually make decisions, become in alignment with them, and have the outcomes and see those decisions come to fruition. See you guys.